Buhari receives River State Governor.
The law has nothing to do with sentiments.
Court sentences Mariam Sanda to death by hanging for murdering her husband. Coronavirus, Nigeria intensifies efforts at airports to check importation. A warm welcome to the news at 9 on NTA. I'm Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. Reading with me tonight is Michael Lale in Lagos, while Pam Dunyam is in Makudi. Governor Ben Ayade of Cross River State is asking the federal government to, as a matter of necessity, support the realization of the Bakassi Deep Sea Port and Superhighway projects initiated by his administration. Governor Ayade, who was granted audience by President Muhammadu Buhari, described the signature projects as the best way forward for Nigeria towards achieving the desired economic prosperity.
Coming into life, the Bakassi Deep Sea Port with an evacuation corridor to north is like taking Atlantic Ocean to northern Nigeria. It's a strategic way of putting an end to the insurgency, militancy, kidnapping, and the Boko Haram issues. The superhighway and the deep sea port is very critical. Those projects are not projects on the shoulders of the governor of Cross River State. It's a responsibility of the federal government, and that's why I'm here.
Governor Ayade used the opportunity to formally invite the president to Calabar for the inauguration of a massive youth empowerment scheme through agriculture called G-Money. The need for Nigerians to embrace dialogue in resolving issues that brought about the civil war has again been re-emphasized. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo stated this in a special town hall meeting to mark the 50th anniversary of the end of the Nigerian Civil War in 1970. Steve Lonai Mwokolo has the report.
The town hall meeting organized by the Ken Nnaman Center for Leadership Development in conjunction with the National War Museum, Umuahia, was to commemorate the 50th anniversary of the Nigerian Civil War and to reflect on the issues that brought about the Civil War. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, in a keynote address, described the Nigerian Civil War as a defining national tragedy that brought about loss of opportunities for the nation's advancement and expressed federal government's determination to build a country devoid of marginalization and discrimination. Other speakers at the meeting sued for national integration and reconciliation towards building a country where fairness, equity, and justice reign.
To entrench a recognition that wars are never the solutions to our differences, and to inspire a commitment to the peaceful resolution of the conflicts.
We can shake hands and say sorry to each other and then forgive. But also, how to embrace dialogue rather than lamentation.
The event also afforded some of the Civil War veterans opportunity to recount their experiences of the war. The Vice President was also taken on a guided tour of the War Museum, Umuahia, where he inspected relics of the war between Nigerian and the Biafran soldiers. In Umuahia, Steve Lonai Mwokolo, NTA News.
Port health service providers are intensifying efforts to prevent the importation of deadly coronavirus and other diseases into Nigeria. The major concern, however, is about some citizens that are not ready to subject themselves to proof of vaccination of other illnesses. Emmanuel Ayimiro, who went to the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, has the situation report and an update.
Since the outbreak of the deadly disease of coronavirus in China a few days ago, Nigeria has been placed on a red alert in order to prevent the importation of the disease from spreading into the country. 2 infrared scanner machines have been put in place to screen human temperature, and whenever anyone is detected to have a temperature that exceeds normal, is pulled aside for further examination. And when your temperature is within normal, you are allowed to proceed to the immigration for further clearance.
No case of coronavirus has been found in Nigeria, even though it has been confirmed
that the disease has claimed not less than 80 lives, with more than 3,000 persons infected with the virus across China and other countries. However, there are concerns over non-compliance of some citizens to the quarantine procedures that is attracting reactions. The situation has raised the question on how best to make passengers comply with the quarantine procedure. While the answers are being awaited, other passengers have expressed satisfaction with the processes adopted so far to prevent coronavirus.
You can see our port health officers doing their work, and therefore this is what is expected. Nigeria has started on time, and I'm so impressed, I'm happy, and I know this will come and pass just like the Ebola.
Abuja Airport is calm. There is no panic over any infectious disease. Emmanuel Ayimiro, NTA News.
Joining me in the studio is the Minister of Health, Professor Osagie Ehanire. You're welcome, Your Excellency.
Good evening.
The situation of the coronavirus epidemic or importation, how serious is the risk or how high is this risk to Nigerians?
I think the risk is almost the same for all countries, proportional to the level of volume of air travel, because the presumptive way of importation is likely by air, at least in Africa. It's not likely to come by across land borders. So therefore, the volume of air travel will probably determine the risk, and it will be, for Nigeria, probably about average.
Experts are talking about the similarities of coronavirus to common cold. What will you say are the spectacular differences that they have, and what is the gestation period of the virus?
Well, the gestation period is quite fast. It's about 3, 4, 5 days, and it has the symptoms of a common cold: runny nose, cough, what we call catarrh, and sore throat and fever. And it's not very different from a common cold, except that it has to be observed, and if it is causing problems like breathing difficulties, then you know that it's serious. But even before then, medical help should be sought.
What sort of screening for now are the health port officials subjecting passengers to? And then talking about the equipment again and their efficacy, their affordability, and of course, whether they are in optimal condition to detect possible persons that will have the coronavirus.
Yes, the first and most important screening equipment is the thermal camera, which will do full body scan and detect a rise in temperature above 38 degrees. And such a person will be taken aside and politely ask questions. You will take the travel history, find out where he's coming from, and if he's not very suspicious, then you can let them go. But if it is suspicious, for example, coming from areas with a high incidence of cases, then you ask further questions and do tests.
For example, all flights from China, what do you particularly do to such passengers?
There are no direct flights from China to Nigeria, but they go over intermediary. But again, that's where the travel history comes in. So if there's an individual who's coming from that area, they are subjected to some polite questions in order to find out how long they've been sick and what the sickness has been like.
Lastly, what health habits will you encourage Nigerians to imbibe now, especially that we're in this critical period of likely importation of the virus?
Well, I would not say it's likely. We hope that it doesn't come here. But I will advise that anyone who has a runny nose, who is sneezing and coughing, should wear a surgical mask so that they will not spread it around. If you look at the clips that are shown of China, you see that Chinese citizens to a large extent wear surgical masks so that they don't get infected and they also don't spread the infection for those who are healthy and those who are not. So that's one measure. And also no one should cough openly into other people's faces, and also adopt hand washing, frequent hand washing as a habit.
You know, in places like China or Europe, it is always very easy for people to subject themselves to screening. But we are told Nigerians are particularly becoming a little bit hostile to such screenings. What will you tell such Nigerians, and what will you now advise government measures for government to take to ensure that people subject themselves to screening?
Well, the thermal camera, for one thing, is passive. Nobody needs to call you or to ask you any questions. But if there's reason to want to interview you, well, health authorities will invite you politely and interview you. But everybody should know that it's for their own good and it's also for the good of the community. There's no harm in it. There's no bad intention. So therefore, the hostility towards healthcare workers is uncalled for. And Nigerians should cooperate and collaborate.
Professor Osagie Ihenare, Minister of Health, Federal Republic of Nigeria, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
In other news, the Minister of Environment, Muhammad Mahmoud Abubakar, has directed all environmental health professionals in the federal, state and local government areas to embark on the following measures to curtail the incidence of Lassa fever.
Lesser attention to the environment, Lassa fever for the health, a killer disease, and rodents are the major culprits, while poor sanitation provides operational base. Lassa fever is leapfrogging other diseases at the moment. As of 25th of January 2020, 195 cases have been confirmed and 29 deaths recorded across 11 states. Traffic, a common sight in the marketplace. Food items sometimes from hand to mouth in an environment clearly providing habitation for rats.
Yes, always we are using some medicine to kill the rat and others, and we are cover our things well.
Rat in the market, we call it heavy infestation. Both the day and night, they are active. That you must manage your food item very well. Those ones you are, especially garri, that they should minimize all those chewing and drinking of garri at this season. How to wash hands before they serve the people.
Please be seated.
The Federal Ministry of Environment is fronting a solidarity with the states and local governments for rodent-free homes and marketplaces through the engagement of environmental health professionals.
The sanitation desks are to be replicated in all the 774 local governments in the country. Environmental health surveillance of premises to identify rodent harborage, destroy, eradicate rodent homes, commercial and industrial premises.
So, the presence of these officers are expected to be a common sight in homes and private places if the minister's directive is to go beyond this conference call. Mie Ogidi, NT News.
The federal government has reaffirmed its commitment towards addressing challenges facing internally displaced persons in the country. Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Umar Farouk, gave the assurance when she visited Government House, Bauchi. Awal Abdullahi reports.
The minister said she is in Bauchi to present relief materials from the federal government to internally displaced persons taking refuge in the state. The minister also identified the establishment of Northeast Development Commission as one of the interventions put in place by the federal government toward alleviating the suffering of the internally displaced persons.
We're going to support them to rebuild their lives and their homes. This is what NEDC, the Northeast Development Commission, is all about.
Sadiya Umar Farouk commended Bauchi State Government for assisting internally displaced persons despite limited resources at its disposal and called on other states in the country to emulate it. Bauchi State Governor Senator Bala Muhammad called on federal government to find long-term solution to challenges confronting internally displaced persons in the state. Represented by his deputy, Senator Baba Taylor, the governor said internally displaced persons from Northeast and other neighboring states are currently residing in the state and made a case for federal government intervention in catering for their welfare. In Bauchi, Awal Abdullahi, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says the speculated threat of a possible travel ban by the United States on Nigeria will have a negative impact on the socio-economic status of the country. Therefore, if such plans are on the way, the minister says the United States should have a rethink in the overall interest of the generality of Nigerians. The minister made this known to media organizations when he visited the kickstart of his media engagement in the United Kingdom. Anthony Folsom was there and now reports.
The Information and Culture Minister's media tour of the United Kingdom is to promote and reiterate the successes of the President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration in its second term, as well as address and put in proper context contentious issues back home in Nigeria. In his first outing, Reuters, the British Broadcasting Corporation, and the Financial Times were his first port of call. First was the speculated threat of a travel ban by the United States, which the minister responded to this way.
It's still speculative yet. We are yet to be formally communicated, and when we are communicated, we will be able to respond comprehensively. But meanwhile, made it clear that travel ban, in our view, in the level of government, is probably not well thought out. It's probably based largely on the negative narratives being spread by naysayers. And our advice to the U.S. is that they should have a rethink on the issue, because any designation about travel ban is bound to affect investment and growth in the country.
On the ongoing border drill, the minister was emphatic that Nigeria's neighboring countries must respect the ECOWAS protocol.
Notably, Benin Republic and Niger have failed to respect the ECOWAS treaty on transit, and that's like sabotaging the economy of the country. But not only is the economy being sabotaged, even the security of the nation was being threatened, because under the guise of smuggling rice, a lot of small arms and ammunition were being smuggled into the country, and also drugs.
When asked on the state of affairs in the Northeast, Lai Mohammed put the records straight.
When you want to really measure the success of this government in fighting Boko Haram, you must look at it from the viewpoint of not just military success, but also economic success and political success. When you look at what the situation was in 2014, 2015, the situation is today. Clearly, Nigeria has won the war on all fronts.
While in the United Kingdom, the minister, apart from engaging the media, he will also engage with think tanks and patriotic interest groups. In London, Anthony Folsom, NTA News.
This is NTA Network News. Time now to pause for some messages. Stay tuned.
Today, title reach for me to settle blessing. Blessing for you. When this girl first got this my shop called network, now on top of NTF 4G phone, now this girl could impress me. I provoke. I know it's short, reach what time, eh? The ambulance to make her tell her to make she mash her act. Come up for my shop. Later, I come realize, say this girl go snap her, put her for inside internet. They take her to adverts. I make customers that they come with my shop. Listen, I want make you help me manage my shop now.
But I think Nami and Blessing start work the same time.
Now you and Blessing start work the same time. Blessing, you better start with a T-shirt for top of your 4G MTN phone.
Business makes sense on top super fast and reliable MTN 4G. Join MTN, make you enjoy double data.
Discover the all-new Nivea Nourishing Cocoa Lotion, specially formulated with Nivea's Deep Moisture Serum and Africa's natural cocoa for 48-hour deep moisture. Glowing, radiant skin with nourishing cocoa lotion from Nivea.
Hamatan is here, but we are ready. Get your special Nivea offer in stores today and break up with Hamatan for good.
Be nice.
You're welcome.
Where's the restroom?
Or just go into your right.
Thank you.
I follow.
Mommy, it's me.
Switching the light. But you see, it's nothing to worry about.
Now, Glow 4G, the wrong thing.
Data is oxygen. Glow 4G, the new speed of life. Your number one 4G network nationwide. The very best from Glow, the grandmasters of data.
This is beautiful.
Quality is vital. Quality is Vitafoam.
Hello, honey.
Hey, baby.
Wow. Those guys are good in bed.
What?
Yes, we're good in bed. Hurry now to any Vitafoam accredited dealer nationwide or visit us online on www.vitafoamng.com to place your order today. Vitafoam, the fine art of living.
The Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, in collaboration with its social partners, International Labour Organization, ILO, and other stakeholders, have commenced the process of reviewing labour legislations in Nigeria. They are the Labour Act, Cap L1, LFN 2004, the Trade Union Act, Cap T14 and T15, LFN 2004, Trade Dispute Act, Cap T8 and T9, LFN 2004, Trade Union Affiliations, Trade Union Essential Services, the Factories Act, Cap F1, LFN 2004, the Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund, NSITF, Act 2010 to be amended. Sequel to this, the Ministry of Labour hereby calls for memoranda from interested members of the public, civil society organizations, professional bodies, and relevant stakeholders. All memoranda should be submitted in 20 copies and addressed to the Director, Productivity Measurement and Labour Standards Department, with a soft copy forwarded online to this email, fmlelabourbillsreview@gmail.com, on or before 10th February 2020. William Allo, Permanent Secretary, Announcer.
Sore throat. It's often caused by bacteria and viruses. Feel like they're having a part. You need Strepsils. It soothes the pain, plus it fights the germs with 2 germ-killing actives. Double power in 1 lozenge. Bye-bye sore throat. Take Strepsils.
Admiralty University of Nigeria, ADUN, founded by the Nigerian Navy in partnership with international educators, is admitting students now. ADUN is open to all, and those who did not select ADUN on their JAM can also apply. ADUN offers degrees in emerging fields including cybersecurity, forensic science, software engineering, as well as regular programs. Exchange programs allowing students to complete part of some degree programs at partner universities overseas. Industry skills to make its graduates globally competitive. Apply online now at www.adun.edu.ng. Email admissions@adun.edu.ng. Admiralty University of Nigeria, excellent in education.
She picked the time. He picked the place. Now their eyes meet. But self-doubt stands between them. Can they break the barrier? With the freshness of antibacterial mouthwash formula, our best ever close-up toothpaste. Break the barrier. Move closer with confidence. Close-up deep action for 12 hours of fresh breath.
Telemundo new series. Meet Antonio. He has everything except a happy family. And Julieta, she has a dream man. Or is he a nightmare? Fall in love with Telemundo's new romantic comedy. It will sweep you off your feet. A Telemundo new series, almost yours. Every weeknight at 7.
Thank you for remaining with the NTA. The FCT High Court, sitting in Maitama District, has sentenced Mariam Sanda to death by hanging. Mariam Sanda was convicted for the willful murder of her husband, Biliaminu Bello Haliru, in the course of a domestic disagreement. Justice Halilu Yusuf held that Mariam Sanda allowed her anger to becloud her sense of reasoning. Olade Adewa reports.
Tracing the circumstances that led to the conviction of the defendant, the court held that Mariam Sanda's submission that Biliaminu tripped and fell on a broken bottle was an afterthought, since the defendant and 2 prosecution witnesses have admitted that she had a knife in her hand during an argument with her late husband, Bilyaminu, on the 18th to the 19th of November 2017. The court also held that the circumstantial evidence had linked Miriam to the crime, since she was the last person that saw the disease before he got injured and died. Justice Alilu Yusuf accordingly sentenced her to death by hanging.
We thank God that the long arm of the law have actually caught up with the offender.
But the truth of the matter is that the law has nothing to do with sentiments.
The convict and her late husband engaged in a domestic fight lasting 2 days over what the convict described as the alleged sighting of a nude female picture on her husband's handsets. In Abuja, Labodarewa, NTA News.
Still at the court, the Federal Capital Territory High Court sitting in Gwagwalada Area Council has fixed Thursday, the 30th of January, to give ruling on the bail applications filed by former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mohammed Bello Adoke SAN, and 2 others. Mr. Adoke SAN is standing trial for alleged money laundering alongside 6 others, which include 4 companies for their alleged involvement in the Malabu oil deal. Counsel to Adoke and the other 2 defendants argued that the alleged offense is bailable and that the first defendant, the former Minister of Justice, has medical issues. Counsel to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission objected to the bail applications on the ground that there is high possibility for the defendants to jump bail if granted.
Of course, yes, and we exhibited documents. As you're all aware, he was arrested by Interpol and escorted back into the country. And I wouldn't want to go into the details of my argument in court. The court has not given its ruling yet, and it will be unethical for me. The arguments are advanced before the court. Before a ruling is made on it, to re-advance it outside of court, it would be very unethical.
We told the court, by way of summary, at the end of the day, that bail is a constitutional right because of the presumption of innocence of an accused person. And that at the end of the day, it is a matter that is entirely within the discretion of the court.
Let's now join Michael in Lagos for more reports on NTA Network News. Hello, Michael. Over to you.
Hello, Muhammad, and welcome to Lagos. The federal government has expressed willingness and readiness to make foreign and local businesses flourish in the state and country at large. President Muhammadu Buhari, who was represented by a special advisor on ease of doing business, Jumoke Oduwole, gave the assurance at a business summit to boost foreign direct investments in the country. Nusa Usla reports.
And Muhammadu Buhari, since the inception of his administration, has made the creation of an enabling environment for businesses as well as investments to thrive in the country his topmost priority by assuring investors that the promotion of business-friendly policies remains a priority of his administration. Both the Special Advisor to the President on Ease of Doing Business and the Lagos State Commissioner for Housing explained that the federal and state governments were making progress in creating an enabling environment for investments through policies, initiatives, institutional re-energizing, as well as infrastructural renewal and development.
When things are good, we need to recognize that they're good. When government, both at the federal level with the Finance Act and at the state level with several reforms that I reeled out, and with the Lagos State team here, we need to recognize when things are done. We need to do our research. We need to go online. We need to appreciate the reforms and push them.
The estate sector is key to achieving sustainable economic development objectives, especially in the fast-growing economy such as that of Lagos.
Stakeholders commended both the federal and state governments for their efforts in ensuring the ease of doing business in the country.
Each state government, the local governments, the federal governments, as well as the private sector, all of them has a role to play.
What needs to be done is to push for growth, sustainable growth.
The federal government also used the occasion to call on the organized private sector to continue to partner with government, stressing that the President Buhari-led administration administration remains committed to finding lasting solutions to the challenges confronting the business sector. In Lagos, Nusa Osula, NTA News.
The Lagos state government is using its housing policy as catalyst to stimulating safe environment, fight poverty, improve the health status of the people, and create jobs for residents. Commissioner for Housing, Moruf Akinderu Fatai, while giving an insight into plans to complete various pocket-sized housing schemes across the state, said, with robust housing policy, more than 2/3 of the sustainable development goals will be achieved. The population growth of Lagos State is estimated at 3% increase yearly, a figure experts say translates into 3 million housing deficit annually, according to research. From Ajegunle to Korodu, the challenge is visible, with larger percentage of the population paying through the nose to afford the ever-increasing house rents. The Lagos State government, under its robust housing scheme, say help is here, with the Lubirin for Sure estate targeting highly populated area in delivering cheaper accommodation for Lagosians.
The masses are the target audience. And when we say the masses, we're expecting to be from people who are the artisans, the bricklayers, who can actually, save up to.
We are collaborating with the private sector, and we are giving them all the necessary support that they need, and at the same time we are pushing them hard.
The state government promised to deliver the houses in record time, as 360 housing units will be ready at the end of the year.
It's a mixed-use development, which will have commercial, retail, residential, all within the community. It's we will more or less design a concept of work, live and play concept with development. It's a waterfront development.
Lagos State is focusing on building a smart city where affordable housing will not only be available for all residents, but the growing rate of shanties will be addressed. This is NTA Network News. More reports after this timeout. Please stay tuned.
Welcome to our wonderful world of data with these incredible new offers from your #1 4G network nationwide. Glow Unlimited.
No perfect family may be under threat by germs. Germs can cause infectious diseases like diarrhea, typhoid, and flu. These infectious diseases are amongst the biggest killers of adults and children. In Nigeria, tens of thousands of children under the age of 5 have died due to diarrhea caused by germs. These illness-causing germs are everywhere. Dirty surfaces, on cuts and wounds, on your clothes, in unclean bathing water. To protect your family from germs, use the power of Dettol's 1 capful. For surface cleaning, for first aid, for your laundry, in your bathing water, and to protect your family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Introducing Dettol with aloe vera. Soothing aloe vera, power of Dettol, which is soft on skin, hard on germ. Dettol Short.
You don't wait for life. You go to meet life. It's not about how many chances you get. It's what you do with what you've got. Cup after cup. Morning after morning. Start strong. Finish strong. It all starts with a Nescafe.
Getting around heartburn and indigestion can be tricky if you eat too much. Eat food that is too spicy or greasy, or lie down after eating. Heartburn and indigestion could always be around the corner. When they come, be prepared with Gaviscon Double Action. It works within 3 minutes and lasts up to 4 hours. Gaviscon Double Action. Many causes, one solution.
No, it's too dull.
This one.
Oh wow, it's beautiful. Omo, this fabric. It go fade though.
Yeah. Look, make I tell you something. The new area Ankara, it go take good care of it.
Right.
Not lie. Not true. And the price cheap.
Try new Ariel on Ankara and colors now.
Confidence is important in life's little moments. Strong teeth can help, even if they get her into trouble sometimes. A great smile is useful to break the ice. And making friends is easier when you know you have fresh breath. I give my family confidence with Pepsodent's Triple Protection 1, 2, 3. It's 3 toothpaste in 1 to give them cavity protection, white teeth, and fresh breath. The confidence of 3 toothpaste in 1. Pepsodent's Triple Protection 1, 2, 3.
It's really tough right now. It's hard to expand my business.
Exactly. You know, many farmers depend on me. All these banks saying they don't see my vision.
Good evening, gentlemen. Sorry for interrupting. That's not exactly true.
How do you know?
I'm living proof. Mind if I join you?
Not at all.
Just last year, I had planned to expand the hospitality business. It was tough, but I met the right people.
So, who exactly are these people?
My bank, FCMB. Eddie, their bills in the house. I forgot to mention, this is one of our hotels. Have a great night, gentlemen.
With the right guys who believe in your visions, getting to your desired destination is easier and quicker. Let's help you take the next step. FCMB, my bank, and I.
You're still watching the NTA Network News. The Kogi State Governor, Yahaya Bello, says his administration will run a transparent and accountable government that will showcase the state as a model for good governance and progressive economy. Francis Udojo reports that this was the part of the inaugural address at the swearing-in ceremony of the governor and his deputy governor, Edward Onoja, in Lokoja.
I discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That was the oath of allegiance and swearing-in of Governor Yahaya Bello by the Chief Judge of Kogi State, Justice Nasiru Ajana, with achievements of the present government, capacity building, and human development, especially in the areas of education, health, agriculture and security, infrastructure, job creation and civil service reforms. The government in this second term tends to develop Kogi State into Nigeria's foremost commercial hub through optimization of the state's geographical location, natural endowments, and human resources for a sustainable future.
We will do everything in our power as government to make sure they are productive, prosperous, and peaceful. So help me God.
The event provided an opportunity for the people to celebrate, although with very high expectation that the new administration will surpass its performance going forward. Francis Udojo, NTA News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has issued certificate of return to the winner of the recently concluded election rerun for the Tudunwada Dogwa Federal Constituency of Kano State, Alhassan Ado Dogwa of All Progressives Congress. National Assembly correspondent Laimi Ali reports.
Alhassan Ado Dogwa, winner of the Tudunwada Dogwa Federal Constituency election rerun, being issued the certificates of return by the INEC National Commissioner in charge of Northwest Abubakar Nahuche. The rerun ordered by the Federal High Court Kaduna following an appeal by a contender saw Adodogwa gathering 666,667 votes against the PDP contender who scored 6,323 votes.
This is victory that came from God, and I want to particularly thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving me this victory. And unavoidably, I have to thank people. This is my 7th certificate of return I've collected as a member representing Dogwa Federal Constituency.
His supporters said this victory is an endorsement of his constituents in Tudunwada Dogwa Federal Constituency of Kano State to the lawmaker who has been the voice of the people as the House of Representatives since the return of democratic rule in 1999. Alhassan Ado Dogwa was the House Chief Whip in the 8th House and Majority Leader in the 9th House of Representatives. Lani Ali, NCA News.
The safety of lives and property of all Nigerians remains the cardinal objective of the federal government, and so to achieve this task, the executive will work closely with key players, especially the legislature. Secretary to the government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, said this when he granted audience to a re-elected member of the House of Representatives, Alhassan Ado Dogwa in Abuja.
We must return to a model that will take everybody on board. The issue of community policing is very, very important because what it presupposes is that the community will be involved in providing security and intelligence, human intelligence, to the security apparatus for the safeguard of the lives and properties of people.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, assures the re-elected member and his colleagues of maximum support. The senator representing Niger East Senatorial District, Muhammad Sani Musa, says he is poised to implement projects that will positively impact the lives of persons in his senatorial district, in addition to collaborating with both the federal, state, and all stakeholders to restore security in areas affected and banditry activities. The lawmaker stated this while on a thank you visit to the 9 local government areas that make up his senatorial district. The report.
Senator Muhammad Sani Musa went round the 9 local government areas that make up the district to say thank you to the people who gave him the mandate to represent them and protect their interests at the Senate. The security challenge bedeviling the zone topped their discussion. The legislator went round some of the IDP camps where the armed banditry victims are kept, said he is touched, seeing the traumatizing state of the victims with a promise to assist people of the camp to alleviate their suffering.
The security agencies are doing their best, but sincerely they are overwhelmed. And something needs to be done. And I appeal to Mr. President, I appeal to National Security Advisor, I appeal to the service chiefs to come to the aid of the people of Niger East.
The senator donated food items, bundles of blankets and drugs to the camps and directed that all the injured persons be taken to the General Hospital, Mina, for proper medical care. At some of the local government areas visited, it was a reassurance to empower women and youth through skill acquisition training to commence in February, in addition to implementing projects that will positively affect the communities. Stakeholders in most of the areas visited promised to support and synergize with Senator Sani to achieve the desired results of promoting peace and development in the district.
The National Executive Committee meeting of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has announced Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal of Sokoto State as the new chairman of the PDP's Governors Forum. Timothy Yusuf reports that Tambuwal is to replace the governor of Bayelsa State, Sirike Dixon, whose tenure will elapse on the 3rd of February.
This is the 88th National Executive Committee meeting of the People's Democratic Party and second within a period of 10 days. It was a platform for the National Working Committee to report operations to the larger House. Top on the meeting's agenda was to urge the Assembly to commence a comprehensive review of the Electoral Act.
The issue of the last general election rounds up
With the conclusion of court cases, the National Working Committee, NWC, and NEC is putting machineries in place to review the 2019 general election.
On the emergence of Governor Aminu Waziri Tambuwal as new chairman of the forum, there was no election as a unanimous resolution by the PDP governors appointed him as their chairman.
We talk together in unity and work with the National Working Committee and leadership of the party.
Governor Dixon of Delta State, who was the outgoing chairman of the forum, was, however, absent at this meeting in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf, NT News.
President Muhammad Buhari felicitated with Alhaji Ahmed Abdullahi Hassan, Sarkin Yakanajin Uke Kingdom, Nasarawa State, on his 20th anniversary on the throne. In a message, President Muhammad Buhari salutes the commitment and diligence with which the royal father has served his people, leading to progress and amity in Uke Kingdom. President Buhari urges him to equally use the period to envision new heights for the kingdom and its people, leading to further emancipation and development. President Buhari prays for more strength and wishes Sarkin Yakanajin Uke many more years of productive service, not only to his people, but the nation at large. We have our reports now as we link up with Pam in Mahdi.
Thanks, Kudu, and welcome to Makudi. Farmers in Benue State are yet to key into dry season farming in spite of its potentials. Godwin Inalego in this report takes a look at irrigation farming and efforts by the state government to encourage it.
Dry season or irrigation farming is the practice of farming activity during the dry season with the use of irrigation. Benue State is endowed with River Benue and other water bodies that can provide dry season farming in the state. Apart from these natural endowments, both the state and federal governments constructed 8 dams across the 23 local government areas to enhance the practice of irrigation farming.
Where rainfall, just 2-3 days, we will find difficult to farm, and then they will see grass coming up. So we need habitats to apply for the grass to go down.
According to experts, all other crops apart from yam can be grown in Benue State during the dry season. Director of Agricultural Services, Benue State Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Thomas Nungu, says the government will continue to provide an enabling environment for farmers to engage in irrigation farming.
The Rice Farmers Association procured some of these equipments for irrigation, and most farmers are now using them to boost the production of dry season crops.
Chairman, All Farmers Association of Nigeria, Benue State, Androngu Saku, attributed non-practice of dry season farming to lack of off-takers and abundance of agricultural produce all year round in the state.
We are going back to irrigation because this time around, when you suffer, do all these other things, you will not have the market. The market has been the actual problem why some of these things were not practiced.
Presently, a few people engage in irrigation farming along the banks of River Benue. In Makudi, Godwin Inalegu, NTN News. NTN News.
And that will be it from Makudi. Kudu, it's over to you for the rest of the news.
Thank you, Pam. For the country to bridge the existing gap in tertiary education, persons in the educational sector must continue to leverage on the opportunities in distance learning. This was re-echoed at a conference and retreat organized by the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria in Sokoto. Musa Abubakar reports.
For civil servants who want to pursue an undergraduate or postgraduate program, the thought of how to go about work and going to school is a source for concern. But with distance learning programs such as that of ABU Zaria, it is just a matter of how time can be allocated in such a way that one does not affect the other. This retreat by the management of Ahmadu Bello University Distance Learning Center is aimed at taking advantage of the fortunes in expanded university access, taking cognizance of the 1.2 million admission seekers who JAMB did not admit into tertiary institutions.
Security is there because of the gap in education. Out
lot of school children are there because of the gap in education. Poverty is there because of the gaps in education. So we believe that the only way we could address these challenges that are facing us as a country is through education.
It has become so imperative and indeed compelling to use distance learning because no country in the world can provide the necessary or adequate money to use formal face-to-face education using the brick and mortar system to develop the country.
People are encouraged to travel far. And with distance learning education, they don't need to travel.
The move is part of efforts to explore emerging educational landscape in a bid to accommodate and develop the needed manpower for sustainable development. In Sokoto, I'm Musa Abubakar, NTA News.
Less than a year into his second term of 4 years in office, President Muhammadu Buhari is better positioned to deliver the strongest economy on the African continent, ongoing multiple reforms. This is coming from the Middle East newspaper reviews in an article titled, "During the Buhari Era, Will Nigeria Become the Strongest Economy in Africa?" The media outfit said the president's integrity and discipline and his fame for strict measures against political corruption within the armed forces and civil institutions would fuel the effort to reverse the oil curse, which had pervaded the continent since 1958. In another article titled "President Buhari, the Link Between Nigeria and the World," the Foreign magazine recalled that the president's firm stand on the fight against corruption, both as a military head of state and a civilian president. The report also contended that President Buhari had maintained a balanced foreign policy, especially as he seeks the support of the United States of America and the West in general through his objective of defeating Boko Haram. The Nigerian Air Force says it has destroyed an Islamic State of West Africa province ISWAP staging area at the Gashigar and terrorist hideouts at Tumbumrego on the fringes of Lake Chad and at Bola Bello near the Sambisa Forest, all in Borno State. In a statement by the Nigerian Air Force Public Relations Director of Information, I'll take that story again. Director of Information, Air Commodore Ibukule Daramola. This was achieved in airstrikes conducted by the Air Task Force of Operation Lafia Dole on the 24th and 25th January 2020, after credible intelligence reports. The attack on Gashigar was executed on the 25th of January 2020 after intelligence and surveillance missions indicated that the location with defensive parapets and underground tunnels was being used by the ISWAP elements as a meeting point and staging area for launching attacks. Consequently, the Air Task Force detailed its fighter aircraft to attack the identified location, destroying the structures, killing several terrorists in the process. Similarly, fighter jets were dispatched to attack Tumbunrego and Bulabello on the 24th of January 2020, after ISR aircraft detected significant activities in the two settlements, neutralizing scores of terrorists in the three attacks, including some of their key leaders, as later confirmed by human intelligence reports. The Nigerian Air Force says it will continue to sustain its air campaign and synergy with ground forces to defeat terrorists. We'll pause for another commercial break. Stay with us.
On NTA Tuesday Live this week, experts will review Nigeria's outing at the UK African Investment Summit in London and the World Economic Forum in Davos. Tuesday Live at 10:30 p.m. Gains, prospects, challenges of the meetings. Don't miss it.
Maybe say now 2 or 4 days when my girls won't come visit and I need to come go expire.
Oh, but my guys, they can't follow me watch this match. I must not fold the hand. Hey.
Babe, what's happening now? Sorry to disappoint you, but my subscription don't expire.
The match is not on my Go TV package.
Now you're gonna be that. Give me your phone.
Make I show you how you go take do it for my GoTV app for your phone.
Life is so much easier with my GoTV app. Make payments, clear error messages, change your package. You can also check your due dates and keep abreast of your payment history. With the corner, Matip is there. The new My GoTV app is everything you need in one place. So what are you waiting for? Download My GoTV app now on Google Play or App Store to enjoy the easy life. GoTV. Live it, love it.
Us football fans love banter. All kinds of banter. Like the bad belly banter. Dry banter.
Your team can't even score an own goal.
I beg, take it. This is the only cup your team will be winning this season.
And then there's that. Banter. Whatever the banter, banter better with Coca-Cola, the official soft drink partner of the English Premier League.
Now introducing the new Mentos 2-Share Candy with 2 flavors in 1 pack.
Share a Mentos, make a friend. Stick together till the end. Share a Mentos, socialize. Share Mentos and be nice.
Mentos Candy, crunchy outside, chewy inside.
So fun, who says no to Mentos?
President Muhammadu Buhari has condemned attacks that resulted in the death of 13 persons in Plateau State, assuring that terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, and associated crimes will be defeated. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, announced that President Buhari urges community and religious leaders to counsel the youths on the need for peaceful coexistence and avoid revenge attacks. President Buhari condoles the families of the victims, government and people of Plateau State, and directed security agencies on assignment in the state to redouble their efforts. President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled with the government of Katsina State and Katsina Emirate Council over the death of the district head of Faskari, Alhaji Usman Saidu Sarkin Yamman Katsina. The President described the late Sarkin Yamma Katsina as a deeply compassionate and God-fearing person who was zealous about matters affecting his people. He prayed God to repose the soul of the district head, who he said will be remembered for his contributions to the stability of the emirate. And that concludes the news tonight. Thank you for watching.